There is a saying that I'm sure you've heard. It goes something like, capitalism's only good quality is that it breeds competition. Logic being that financial incentive will force innovation and keep the wheels of ingenuity turning. This phrase, however, is actually used as an insult to the system. And I'll accept that insult. I'll accept it the second I see a commie muster up the ability and the cojones to produce an 815 horsepower rear-wheel drive beast that gets a sub 7-minute lap at the
Nürburgring.
In a United States being literally choked out by the iron fist that is the EPA, I am eternally grateful to the handful of car manufacturers left that just kind of make cool stuff because they're able to. Similarly to a communist, the GTD has no real reason to exist. There is no significant financial gain to be had from Ford. They've already won. They are a well-established, globally known, and very profitable company on the yearly SUV and truck lineup alone. Everything else that they build, the Mustang, the Raptor, the Focus RS, please come back. And now the GTD. They're pretty much making it for the love of the game and respect for the car enthusiast. Now I want to make this video as a love and appreciation letter for the GTD. Maybe you'll learn something you didn't know, and if you did, subscribe so I can make $1 mustillion and buy a GTD. The Mustang GTD was built off of the S650 platform, but it is much closer to the Ford GT3 than it is to the GT of the current year. The GTD isn't just derived from the GT3, they were built and engineered alongside each other for different purposes, more or less. The GTD is built off of a supercharged 5.2-liter Predator motor, unlike the GT3, which is a 5.4-liter Coyote. But unlike the GT3, which is ruled by regulation and class specification, the GTD doesn't necessarily abide by any rules. The 5.2-liter produces an absolutely insane 815 horsepower, while the GT3's Coyote produces around 550 depending on where it's competing, which is much closer to the stock GT or Dark Horse's performance than it is to the GTD. Another thing people get wrong is them thinking that the GTD is essentially a souped-up GT when in fact they are extremely different. The GTD has a significantly improved suspension, a large number of major or minor components have had their weight reduced or material changed to reduce weight, and hold on, wait, I didn't know that, hold on. Ford uses titanium recycled from decommissioned Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor fighter jets to craft a few specific high-touch interior components for the Mustang GTD. Hard. So the paddle shifters, the serial plate, and the dial shifter are all recycled F-22 material. I have no idea how that would ever be practical or affordable, but I mean, sure, man, whatever. That's cool. The GTD features a carbon fiber drive shaft to a rear-mounted 8-speed transaxle, which if you didn't know, much like I didn't before making this video, a transaxle combines the transmission and differential into one assembly, with the axle shafts connecting directly to it. Mechanically, this improves traction by placing a heavy drivetrain component over the drive wheels and allows engineers to optimize the car's weight distribution. It doesn't hurt either that building a car in this configuration saves a good amount of space, and more space is good, so I'm told. Specifically in the GTD, this choice was made to create a near perfect 50-50 weight ratio between the front and the rear end. And that sick looking wheel well isn't just for show. While the actual design was taken from and improved on from the GT3, the GTD is 6 inches wider than the standard S650, and the air vents help to reduce drag and lift. So it's essentially a Ford-sanctioned wide body kit, which is the coolest thing ever. All of this to say, this car is not simply a motor swap and a fancy design change. There are, of course, other significant changes like the wheel and brake packages. However, I feel like those are pretty obviously going to be different on a race package of a car and aren't necessarily worth dedicating a section of the video to. Forged magnesium wheels. What? Don't we use magnesium in missiles? I mean, that's cool. If you've heard any news about this car, I'm willing to bet that you heard about its 6-minute and 40-second lap time around the 12-mile long track, the second only to the new Ford GT, the Mark IV, which is insanely impressive, being that the Ford GT is a purpose-built track car, and currently there is no road-legal variant of it that is being sold commercially, and the GTD is a road-legal, now available car that you can buy. I'm not a big person for records because I'm, not a race car driver, nor will I ever be. That's a different kind of daddy's money. But it is hard to deny how cool it is to get a time like this out of what is still fundamentally a Mustang. According to Google, the average lap time at the Nürburgring is around 8.5 to 9.5 minutes, but I really don't know what that means. It could be anything. A rich guy taking out his AMG GT or a company throwing their best driver in their newest car, and I wouldn't really know the difference. Like I said, I'm not a huge lap time guy. I'm a fun, fast car to drive guy. To me, as I said in the beginning of this video, this car serves as a symbolic victory to me more than anything. The fact that Ford is still taking risks that they don't really have to take in the interest of the car enthusiast. Hopefully, with the success of the GTD, we will see some great competition and opposition in the coming years, hopefully out of GM. But will this car usher in a new era all by itself? No. It is a $300,000 car, and only about 1,000 of them are even expected to be built worldwide. But we got to take the small victories where we can. Ford is doing what they do best, and they're instigating competition among other American manufacturers. I am not a GM fan, but unless they're making terrible cars, I don't simply scoff at the existence of the new Corvettes and the Camaros. I'm glad they exist, because at the end of the day, even though I am a Ford fan, I am an American muscle fan first and foremost, which means a victory for one of us is a victory for all of us. I've had choice things to say about other vehicles in the past, but I have also never been blind to the faults of Ford and the Mustang, so I'll make my stance clear in this video. I make jokes about imports and Europeans and Chevy products, but I am a car enthusiast, not a Ford enthusiast. I don't really believe that any corporation deserves your undying loyalty for any reason. And you may look at my catalog so far and think that just because Ford is what I deal in, it's the only thing that I care about. But the fact is that car content is like no other in the sense that you will be pounced on for every little thing when it comes to cars. And unlike pretty much any other form of discussion content, you are not changing anyone's minds at all ever. People like what they like, and you cannot change that or insult the things they love without garnering backlash pretty much immediately. You can be right factually, but you can be wrong to the individual watching the video, and those are equally great sins. So for right this second, I'm doing everyone a favor and sticking to what I know best, the family brand. I was raised around and inside of Fords. Although my very next video, I'll be stepping out of my comfort zone and making a video on Dodge, which is something I have very little knowledge of at this moment and cannot riff on without a well-researched script like I am able to do with Ford. I still like other things, I promise. The C5 Corvette, the ZL1, the GTR, just because I have honest feedback on the history of a car and I say some mean things about it, that doesn't mean that I don't believe anyone should buy them and that they deserve financial ruin. Mean things could be said about every single car ever produced, especially because most discourse between American muscle enjoyers purely boil down to preference. Like, me personally, I like my cars to run and drive for more than 20,000 miles, and that's why I don't drive a Chevy. Jokes aside, don't lose sight of the real enemy, the EPA. What was this video about? Oh yeah, it was about the GTD. I should probably get back to that. In closing, I love this car. Is it expensive? Yes. Too expensive. Can I change that? No. But I'm trying to stay positive. Those who cannot create, criticize, and I cannot create. I don't have the 150 billion bucks to do that. I think we'd all do well to have a better attitude about fun cars, and everyone should get along, and world peace should be established. They're made in Canada? What are we doing?